So, pardon my French, but there is a subtle art to not giving a. Well, you know the rest. And it may benefit you once you understand what am I giving a damn about and what should I give less damns about. Stay tuned. Hey guys, what's going on? How are you? How's the week? How's the year? How's the year? We're in the we finished a quarter of the year, huh? 4-1 represents the first quarter. Somebody said that. I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." Um yeah. How's this been for you so far? Like what's the journey? Unpack that for yourself. But there has been a I don't want to say a movement, but like a turning point in terms of just taking inventory in the spaces of what it is that you care about and why, right? The book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, is I read it a couple of years ago, and I recommend it to people typically to read just because it provides what's what I'm looking for. It provides a necessary clarity in terms of recognizing what is it that I'm holding to a certain regard or who, and how is that in itself taking care of me or a hindrance for me, right? It's crazy. I saw this quote by Mike Tyson, and he was like, uh, I'll mess this up, but basically what he was saying is it doesn't matter. Greatness doesn't matter if you're not a good person, right? You know, the eagerness to achieve a certain level of success or a caliber of fame or notoriety doesn't matter if you were a shithead while getting there, right? And I think the same thing applies to success in general. Like, think about why you want to be so successful. And, you know, for the longest time, there's that dialogue of like, yeah, you're going to have to, you know, say screw it to your family, say screw it to your relationships, say screw it to your friends in order to achieve success sometimes. And some people hear that and they're like, yeah, you know, fuck all these people. You know, fuck this, fuck that. I got to get mine. I got to do what I got to do to get what I want. This is something that's important to me, so I'm going to get it. And it's so funny because in that process, it's like, what are you actually getting if by the time you get it, you don't have anybody to share it with, right? Because these people, to some degree, you've kind of said, hey, you don't matter in this process of what I'm trying to achieve. Okay? You don't matter. And you have to understand that. And what people fail to realize, right? Because sometimes we don't see past our own faces, is that by the time you have that success, you now have nobody to share it with. So, what is it all for? Right? The congratulations from the masses. And it's like, yeah, people could like a picture or, yeah, be like, hey, you did great. And then they, you know, they forget, right? What is it all for? What are you giving a shit about? And that can even be on a day-to-day kind of basis, right? Like, what is it that you hold important and why? Who is it that you hold important and why? Right? Because that's going to tell you a lot. That is going to tell you a whole lot in terms of your trajectory. You know, if you are the type of person you're always worried about what other people are going to think of you, you're going to be so caught up in doing everything for everybody else that you stop caring about yourself to the capacity that you deserve to be cared for. And what you're failing to understand is you're also teaching other people that they don't have to care for you, right? No one has time to care for you because you're making the time to care for other people and they're taking the time to care for themselves. So it's like, what do you really give a shit about? Being liked? Right? I have to revisit the book, but The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is by Mark Manson. I read it, I think I read it back over COVID during quarantine, and it was phenomenal. Like, it changed my perspective in terms of like me understanding what am I caring about a day to day. Like, if something is stressing me out, what does it mean in the grand scheme? Right? And yeah, we get caught up, and there's still things I occupy my mind with that at some point in time I'm just like, what does it matter? What does it matter? And how much do the things that probably would benefit you to care about, how do they align in that space? Again, when we figure out what it is that we care about and what it is that we occupy ourselves with, we can take a look at our lives and understand certain things, right? If you're always constantly worrying about other people who don't worry about you, your life is going to kind of reflect that. And then, people pleasing comes up. If you prioritize, let's say, distracting yourself from what's actually important, your life is going to reflect that. Right?
In the summer of 1994, 4 teens entered an abandoned building in Gravesend, Brooklyn. It was the last time they would be seen alive. With few clues and no witnesses, the case went cold. But for Anthony Brewer, the brother of one of the victims, the search never stopped. In 2024, he acquired evidence from the police that contained DNA samples that didn't match the teens. That discovery put his life and the life of his family in grave danger. Goosebumps, The Vanishing. All episodes now available on Disney Plus and Hulu on disneyplus.disney.com. Rated TV 14 LV.
It's so interesting, I think, to just slow down. I had a moment last week. I was interviewed. It's funny, for the past couple of years around my birthday or the month of my birthday, an interview always pops up. And I find it interesting that it happens around that time. The reason being is because for me, in my head, I'm usually reflecting on, milestones. What have I done? Right? What's next to do? Have I done it well? Right? How is this getting me further ahead in terms of my career, my definition of success, etc. And then I have these interviews come up and they ask me questions about who I am, what it is that I do. And they'll quote me sometimes. Oh, you said this in this video, and I thought it was very impactful. And, can you expound on that a little bit more? And it's nothing, is never anything small. And sometimes as insignificant as it feels to me, I'm humbled because it's like, well, this wasn't as small as you make it out to be, right? You're so fixated on these other things that you're not even understanding the things that you're already doing. Or you're so fixated on trying to do one thing that you're overlooking something that just may actually benefit you in the long run. Right? It's so funny. Sometimes we're eager to get certain things done because of what we hope to get from other people because of it, right? Approval, validation, right? Praise, recognition. And I think, or what I've started to notice is the more you do yourself, the more you just do you, and you're authentic about it, and you're intentional about it, and you are you about it, everything else comes along, right? Everything else comes along, everything else falls in place. And it just reminds you of like the things that you've probably been occupying your mind with don't matter. And the people that you hope eventually value and appreciate you, in the grand scheme, they don't matter because you don't matter to them enough, right? So when you start to understand who it is that you're caring about or what it is that you're caring about and how it equates to how you're being cared for, there's room there to evaluate, right? There's information there. And it's such a beautiful thing because it allows you perspective, and it kind of stops the monkey brain, right? Whose validation are you still trying to get that you never received, right? What ex of yours are you still trying to prove wrong or let them see that you're better without them? You know, people know you're doing good when you were just doing good, right? A lot of times people know how great you are, how invaluable you are, but they're still showing you they don't have the capacity to value you. So sometimes in our pursuit to do and accomplish all these things, we're seeking for people to be different. I hope what I do finally allows you to care about me in the ways that I desire you to. I hope me being successful now is going to make me good enough for you to now come around. But you got to ask yourself, me doing all this to be better and grow, what kind of people do I want in my company now? Because what have they done besides show me that they don't value me? So why would I want them around me? And what does that say about me? All the things that I'm accomplishing has not really giving me a different sense of self-worth. Because what I give a damn about is not congruent to what I'm doing. Sometimes we could be very automatic, right? If you're an overachiever, you're used to just working in that mindset. So you get work done to the point that a lot of the stuff that you do doesn't even feel like a lot. It feels to some degree insignificant. Like, yes, the process, you're doing it and you're working hard, but think about why you're working hard and who you're working hard for. If you take time to just write down, okay, the 10 things I did today, the 10 things that have been the most pressing of an issue in my head, what was it? Or what is it? I challenge you to do that. Think about the 10 things today that you're stressing about or that you're fixated on. How significant are they to your growth? How significant are they to relationships that are reciprocal? Right? How significant are they to you seeing yourself in a better light? There's information in the things that we care about. And you can figure out a lot about a person by what they care about. Right? One of the things I care about nowadays is time. I try not to waste time, and I try to spend my time wisely, right? Because time, for the most part, for me, is crucial. It's crucial for my mental health. It's crucial for my work, right? It's crucial for me to just be, right? It is, it's an identifier for me. How I spend my time reflects on who I am. How I allow other people to quote unquote spend my time is also a reflection of who I am. Right? People can't waste time that you are not giving to them. So I've become much more intentional about my time. I give a damn about my time. Right? So I don't really allow there to be too much juggling of Isaiah's time. I don't allow that. Because it doesn't, in the grand scheme, it doesn't help me. And if it doesn't help me, then I'm not helping. other people, I'm definitely not helping myself. And I'm not helping take care of the things that I need to take care of. So I give a damn about my time. I give a damn a lot about my time. My relationships, obviously, I give a damn about those. I don't have passive people, right? I'm not really in the age to have passive people. Why? Because it goes back to time. If I know what I want to do in my time and I know how I want to spend my time, then passive people are not really a part of that, right? If someone can't figure out how they prioritize themselves and how they want to prioritize me, I don't really allow myself to wait in the gray for that, right? I don't wait for how people are going to decide how they want to prioritize me. I don't demand anything from them, right? But I recognize, all right, cool. You are not really in this space or just season where you feel that it's necessary to prioritize me. All right. What do you care about and why? And how has it helped you? If you spent your life caring about other people all the time and what they're going to think of you, right? Or what they don't think of you. How has that helped you? Right? And for me, I'm not saying, just cut people off. Obviously, I mean, that's never the context of what I say. And I think I'm going to get to a point where I stop giving that disclaimer because I know myself well enough and I know my experiences well enough to know what I mean when I say what I mean. What someone interprets from that isn't really any of my business as long as I'm clear. The reason why is because people can only meet you to the level that they've met themselves. Right? Sometimes you give so much of what people think of you that you don't think of yourself in that process. And truth be told, people aren't thinking of you as much as you think they are. Right? Even when somebody is considering you in certain moments, they're considering themselves, right? And you're just a part of that narrative. Okay. Even the most selfless person is still thinking of themselves when they're showing up for you. Why? Because it's like, well, I want to take care of this person. And then the narrative, well, I didn't have people really look out for me, so I want to make sure I look out for this person. It comes back to self, right? Thinking about yourself isn't always a bad thing because there is awareness to who you are, how you move, what your intentions are, etc. But how you care and what you care about is so important, and it will change your trajectory. Like you're at a difference with a coworker. All right, well, how have they tried to be better? How have you tried to be better? Right? You're worrying about this person who doesn't call you back or whatever. Okay, they have shown you a pattern. What are you going to do about it? All right. You got your coffee order wrong. How much is that going to affect your day? And if that's your biggest stressor, then there might be other things you should be considering throughout your life and what your priorities are. Just a thought. I thought a lot about this week. I really did because it forced me to, right? I started reading this book. What's it called? Eastern Body, Western Mind. And it's talking about chakras, which is pretty dope. And, the different chakras. And I spotted a couple. I was like, this has been a point of contention for me for quite some time. I was like, holy hell, I get it now. And having that awareness now when I walk through life and I walk through my day, I could kind of pivot because I catch my automatic response to a lot of things, right? And now when I say that thing to myself that I need to say for myself, it changes things, right? Because I'm not caring about the things that don't deserve as much care as I've been giving them. Right? And it's a personal thing. This is a personal journey for me. Right? And it's dope because now I have the awareness and I also have the vocabulary that I want to associate with what I want to do different. But the truth be told is life is short, right? Life is short and it gets shorter, but doesn't mean that you can't take your time exploring what life has meant to you and what meaning do you apply to certain things in your life. I hope this is all making sense to you, but like, read that book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and it will definitely change your perspective on a lot of things. And it'll just give you more clarity, and it'll also allow you to condense your priorities, right? Let's say you wake up. My old coworker told me this years ago. You have 5 balls, right, at the beginning of your day. And those all represent your level of care for certain things, right? You get into a heated debate with somebody. Okay, are you giving a ball away, right? Are you giving that energy to that person who isn't going to do anything with it, right? Especially when people are committed to misunderstanding you, right? Or people just want what they want from you. You're giving that away for free, right? That's 1 ball down. You got 4 balls for the rest of the day. And if you give them all away, what have you given to yourself? Start seeing energy as deposits, right? Start seeing your time as deposits. Start seeing your effort as deposits, right? Love in itself is not transactional, right? So therefore, that's not really a thing, right, that you can measure. Okay? But the energy that you expend, the effort, right? All those things are important. How you prioritize, how you respect and take care of other people. And everybody may have a different trajectory in terms of what respect is or definition. But for me, I'm very aware, right? I can recognize the difference between a discrepancy or a disconnect, right? Between somebody just being sheer disrespectful. Okay. And I may perceive certain things as disrespect that somebody may just see as their day to day. But as long as I understand what's important to me and why, I can now navigate a little bit different. And people who are not really respectful to me in my head, right? I can kind of put them in different spaces. Okay. There's a subtlety to not giving a damn. And it has a major impact in terms of your life moving forward. All right? It's okay to care. You should care. Care a lot. But just be mindful of the things that you are caring a lot about. And it is a game changer, I promise you. Right? If your friendships, care about the people you were calling friends, right? Care about them, but also care about who you're defining as a friend. Care about the person that you're calling your partner. Why? Because they are a reflection of the choices that you make. I think sometimes people forget is like, if you're going on social media and you're bashing your significant other or this ex, or, you know, they were narcissists and they were this and all this other stuff. And it's like, but you were with them for so long. What exactly does that say about you? Right? That's why it's important sometimes to not shit on people in the ways of, you know, trying to make yourself seem like the victor. Because truth be told, if you say it to the right person, they're going to look at you with a level of discernment too. Like, oh, this person is bad now. They were probably that way for so long. Why was it okay then and why is it not okay now? What were you okay with up until this time? What have you been okay with all this time? It's important to give a damn, right? But it's important to pay attention to what you give a damn about. Give a damn about what you give a damn about. Okay? And just use your time wisely and don't allow other people to use your time carelessly. That's a big thing for me. I don't really allow people to use my time carelessly. That applies to my personal relationships, applies professionally. My time is mine and I don't get that back. All right. Just because somebody else moves a certain way in life doesn't mean you have to align with that. So give a damn, but give a damn about what it is that you give a damn about, and see how your life changes. And if you're in a funk right now, right, you're kind of journeying through a lot of life's challenges, ask yourself, what is important to me right now? Why am I in such this space? Who am I so concerned about in terms of what they'll think about me? I feel like a failure. Okay, who am I worrying about classifying me as a failure? Whose expectations do I feel like I'm not living up to? Right? Because sometimes you're really not failing at anything. You're just trying a lot. And there's a lot of moments where you have to try again because that time didn't work. You're fumbling forward. You're not always failing. Okay? And the fact that you're trying, you can't be a failure. Period. And trying doesn't mean pretending to try. Trying means actually giving your best bet and trying to figure shit out and do things differently. I didn't know what I was going to talk about today, y'all. I was really thinking about it because I had so many thoughts going through my mind, as I always do. And I was like, man, what sticks out to me? And, I think it's been a compilation of so many things, like, being on social media, being a quote unquote, I hate saying this out loud, being an influencer, being an impactor. I like that word better. You're met with a lot of variables, and it's cool because it gives you perspective. And what I've learned is to stop trying to explain to people who are not looking for an explanation. They are just looking to declare who they are. Some people are not eager to hear you. They don't care to hear you. They don't care to hear your perspective. They just want to be heard. So they'll talk more than they listen. And I'm fully aware of that. So I give a lot less fucks in terms of that. Because if you make so much effort to confuse my words so they become so and so clear to you, that's not my job. That's not my problem to fix either, because I didn't make the problem in the first place. Care less about what people think of you, especially if you recognize that most people are only thinking about themselves anyway. You will care less about what people think of you when you recognize most times they're just thinking about themselves. And you'll know that sometimes by when you respond. All right, that's all I got. I rambled, but I learned a lot this week. I learned a lot from the people around me. I learned a lot from myself and being around myself. I learned a lot. I've learned a lot. I was asked, they were like, how do you keep your podcast? I noticed that, there are different, times for your podcast. Like sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's 30 minutes. I was like, well, usually once I don't want to talk anymore, I just stop. And I like that, because it's not so much about just talking. I just want to get the message. And once the message is there, we're good. This is one of those where I'm like, all right, cool. I'm past the 20-minute mark and I don't really have anything to say anymore. I don't necessarily want to talk anymore. I just care about, again, making sure that what I'm saying is intentional. It's something that you can walk away with and also apply. So that's all I got. All right. Coaching is available, guys. The link is in the description of this bio. I am now accepting new clients to work with mental health coaching. And, the question I get is like, how is it different from therapy? Well, I'm not a therapist. I'm a human with a lot of experience, a lot of education as well. And I like to use all of my life experience and my education to create a personalized program for you as a person, right? What's important to you? What do you need to figure out? So no two clients for me are the same. And I love that. Why? Because it allows me to flex certain mental muscles or practical muscles. And everybody is different. And I love that. I love that. So that's how I work. And therapy is the same way, but for me, it's like, there's work to be done. So after every session, there's some work for you, right? And there's an ongoing communication. There's accountability there, right? So it's you helping yourself. A lot of times people talk about self-help, and it's like listening to somebody talk and, following somebody on Instagram doesn't matter if you're not applying the principles, right? You don't grow or heal from osmosis, right? Sometimes people listen to these big gurus who have been doing the work for God knows how long, and they think, oh, because I listen to this podcast every morning, I'm better or I'm healed. No. What do you do when you turn it off? And every coach, every person that is a professional, quote unquote, they have the text, right? They have the text education, but they may not always have the life experience. Right? It's a human connection. And that's what I focus on. That's what I drive home when I do the work, because I recognize, there's room for everybody to heal. And I like that. All right, so that's all I got. I talked too much, y'all. I talked too much, but I hope you guys have an amazing week. Spotify for podcasters is real, guys. I love it. I appreciate the people who wrote in. I've been making polls or asking questions on the episodes. So if you're on Spotify, you can respond to questions that I put up there after every episode, and it's cool. It's a nice dialogue, but it also gives perspective. You know, so. Yeah, if you're on Spotify, check that out. You can also sign up for a subscription now on Spotify, which is cool. You guys could be a part of the subscription crew. Shout out to my Patreon supporters. Shout out to my Apple Podcast supporters. Yeah, it's all good stuff, and I'm grateful. I think that's it, y'all. I really do. I hope it is. But yes, take care of yourselves, yeah? Take care of each other, and try not to give a damn as much. All right? Take flight.